Welcome, I'm Kinetic Symphony. This is Dave. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the supernatural. Case file number 2003, written by Kansas Spartan 762, Stars and Scares in the Midwest Airs. Being in the Midwest, you will inevitably see some crap in the night sky that you cannot explain. I've seen solid lights that flew normal for a few ways, then stop and fly straight up at speeds no current aircraft are capable in that amount of time, with no turning arc, just a 90-degree vertical flight. I've seen dark shapes just hanging in the air above fields, no flight lights or anything, just a dark shape, no noise. You look back and it's gone. One that's not UFO related was when I was living with my parents, who live on the outskirts of town. They have a couple acres in the country. I swear to God I hear some sort of female voice chanting, coming off the back deck at night. My room is next to the back door. Well, I ain't about to play with no damn black magic witch crap, so I grab my .22 rifle and spotlight and look out on the back deck. Didn't see a person, just a feral cat in a stair down with my sister's cat. Since there was a lot of feral cats and dogs coming up, rabies was on my mind. I wasn't going to let our cat get tore up. I boinked the feral cat in the head, instantly gone. Startled our cat a bit. I go to let our cat in the house so I can take the feral cat out to the back property line so the coyotes can get a midnight snack. I close the door and I swear I heard a shrill woman's voice on my shoulder whisper, "That was my cat." I freaked the frick out, whipped around, heart freaking pounding, literally hard enough it was moving my shirt with the beating. But nothing was there. The night was still and quiet. Not normal for any rural area. Needless to say, I woke my dad up. We got our ARs out and walked the house and buildings. Nothing. I went to get the cat, but it was gone. Blood was still there, but no body. I know it was expired because I always put 2 additional rounds directly into the head of any animal to ensure it's gone. I did so with this cat. Coyotes and birds of prey don't come up on our decks, and they would have been scared off by the shots. I still have no idea what the frick happened that night, but afterwards, I waited till morning to deal with feral animals. Case notes of file 2003, Stars and Scares in the Midwest Airs. Well, this makes me want to go to the Midwest and just camp around and see what's out there, because I want to see weird stuff in the sky. It's so exciting. As long as I don't get abducted or anything. So any aliens out there, I'm just looking. Don't take me. Now that said, I don't think whatever happened to these animals and the sound you heard was related to UFOs. There is evidence, some stories where aliens can interface with our minds and make us see and hear things, communicate telepathically, and perhaps more than that, induce things that we see and hear. But why would an alien want to do that to some random person in some house in the forest? No, it probably was just a spirit twisting your brain a bit, and didn't like what happened to her cat, which, fair enough. But it's not your fault. Wonder how old the cat was. Probably pretty, getting along in its age, if it had an owner before that died. That's sad. Case file number 2004, written by NamelessCabbage. Massive Shade and the Fear Parade. About 8 years ago, I was staying at my friend's house with my girlfriend. I came home after work, approximately 3 a.m. I lay down and she was still awake. So we began talking, and she started crying. It was the anniversary of her grandfather's death. I wrapped my arm around her and closed my eyes, but I couldn't get comfortable. I stirred and kept sitting up. Something was wrong. I looked through the door, across the hall, and into my friend's brother's room. I noticed he had a 4-foot-tall white fan. It was all I could see in the relatively dark house. But there was something else. Something in front of the fan in the doorway. I couldn't put my finger on it as I didn't see anything, rather, I felt it. Suddenly, my girlfriend sits up and says, "What's wrong, babe? Oh my God!" All the hairs on my body stood up as she confirmed my suspicion. That's when I saw it. A figure, massive, taller and wider than the doorframe. I couldn't see it with my eyes, but I guess you could call it the sixth sense or whatever. It was massive and it hated me. Hate. I was shaking. I've never been so scared in my life. I got out of bed. My body weighed a literal ton. It took tremendous strength to move. Shaking, I finally grabbed the light switch and turned it on. We both grabbed our stuff and hightailed it out of there. I later told my friend about it, who was dead asleep at the time, and he shrugged it off. About a week later, he and his brother started stealing our stuff, and we left for good. Case notes for file 2004. Massive Shade and the Fear Parade. I actually think it could have been our grandfather. Our instincts are calibrated for survival. So just because you feel terrified doesn't mean there's actually a threat there. It could just mean there's an inconsistency with the environment. And everyone's tolerance for risk and unusualness in the area is different. Now, the more intolerant you are to it, the better you are suited for, ancient survival, where we were sleeping in bushes in the jungle, and so on. That's not, you don't want to be unparanoid. You want to be as paranoid as possible. But if you apply these instincts, which many people still have, to the modern world, where sometimes there could be spirits involved, I think it can lead you astray. It probably was just your grandfather. Even though you couldn't really see him, you could feel the presence being there. And he wasn't fully manifested, so that's why you thought or felt like he was larger than the doorframe. He was probably trying to manifest, but didn't understand how to yet. Case file number 2005, written by PuertoCebollas. Uncle's Rest, Aunt's Unsettling Quest. Around 2012, one of my uncles died from diabetes. He lived with my family at home. The same night, I went to sleep and I had the weirdest dream I've ever had. In that dream, I woke up, opened the bedroom door, and saw my uncle's coffin in the middle of the living room and my family waiting for the funerary to go to the graveyard. Besides the coffin, there was an aunt of mine that died when I was really young, and I remember seeing her just once before her death. My aunt looked at me and said, "I bet you don't remember me, PuertoCebollas, but I'm your aunt and died when you were really young. I have something to show you." Against all my superstitions, I don't know if it's just my family, but there's a superstition that accepting an invitation from a dead relative means you'll die in your dream. I decided to grab my aunt's hand and get out of the house to get immediately transported to the graveyard, where we were supposed to bury my uncle. My aunt guided me around the graveyard and pointed at a mausoleum. "That's where my parents and I are buried." And then we kept walking. She stopped again at an empty grave and said, "This is where your uncle will be. Don't worry, he's at peace. You need to wake up now, and don't forget to pay us a visit." I woke up, and there it was, the same coffin with the same flowers in the same position. When we got to the graveyard, we followed the exact route my aunt and I took in my dream. We got to the same empty grave. Before leaving, I bought a bouquet from my aunt's mausoleum and left. After telling that dream to my mom, she got serious and said that my aunt was an eerie person with a penetrating gaze, and that everyone in the family suspected she was a witch or something else. Case file 2005. Uncle's Rest, Aunt's Unsettling Quest. There have been stories like this where people die and they seek out a younger person of the family and guide them in a dream state towards a funeral or back to their home, almost like showing them the sights, one last walk with the loved one. So I don't think anything nefarious was going on here. Just a way to say goodbye in person. Now time for the joke of the day. My Korean friend died last week. So young. Just let it process. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.